Hey everyone, my name is Chelsea and this is Little Mountain Ranch. Welcome to my channel. I'm really happy to have you here. Today I'm going to be sharing with you my third annual pantry tour video. This is a video that I look forward to making for you every year, and if you would like to see my past pantry tour videos, you can check the link up here. For those of you that are new to my channel, I just wanted to share with you that Dan and I have a large family. We have 11 kids and 9 of our kids still live at home. We also have a farm, so we do raise a lot of our own food. We raise all of our own meat and eggs, dairy, most of our own dairy, and a lot of the vegetables. So a lot of what you're going to see, especially in this first pantry that we're going to show you, is food that was grown on our own property. There are so many things that I want to share with you in this pantry, so I'm just going to jump right into the tour right off the bat. What we have behind me here is probably my favorite feature of this pantry. When we were designing this pantry, I asked Dan if he could build something for me where I could have kind of a workstation for drying my herbs and making my tinctures, and this is what he came up with, and I think it just looks so beautiful. Down below the workbench area, he made a place for my dehydrator. So I have 2 dehydrators, but what he hasn't done yet and is going to do is to put a shelf here for my second dehydrator to go here. And this way I can bring my stuff in through the downstairs door right from the garden, get it, prepare it here, get it into the dehydrator, and then when it's dry, I'm able to move it up onto here and put it straight into the jars on the shelf. And then over on this side is something that's new to me. This is my cheese fridge. It's actually a wine fridge, but one of the things that I love about using this for a cheese cave is it does have temperature control on it. I am very new to cheese making. I've kind of dabbled with it over the years, but I'm getting a little bit more serious about it now. And once I have this all figured out, I will share some cheese making videos with you. So far I have some Asiago cheese, cheddar cheese, Monterey Jack, and some Gouda in here, and I just love this. The light doesn't stay on all the time, but it really looks pretty. I have talked about how I have a real interest in learning more about medicinal herbs and culinary herbs, and this last year was probably my most successful year at growing and gathering these. So I just want to show you everything that I have here on my shelf. On this shelf down here, I have my tea making herbs and flowers. I have echinacea over here. Oh no, that was not echinacea. This one is echinacea. This one up here is bachelor buttons. And one of the things that I love about bachelor buttons, I didn't actually know that you could eat these, is how beautiful the color is retained with drying. Isn't that just beautiful? And I just thought these would be kind of fun for the kids to add into their winter tea. This one over here is red clover, a flour mix, bee balm here. What was this one again? Mint. I'm not very good at labeling. I definitely need to improve on that. Fir tips that I dehydrated in the spring. This is wild chamomile, and I do want to grow chamomile in the next year, so that is something that I have planned to do. But this one's also known as pineapple plant. It smells really good. These are calendula with roses, rose petals, and some more fir tips over here. And on this shelf, I have some new things that I'm just learning how to make. In these 3 jars here, I have some tinctures, and where I am getting a lot of my information, and I wanted to share this with you, is the Homesteaders Herbal Companion. This is a friend of mine. Her name's Amy Fuel. You probably have heard of her before. She is the founder of the Homesteaders of America conference. Absolutely fabulous. And this book is a really great beginner's book to herbalism, and I'm learning so much from it. Pardon all the paint marks on my hands here. I was painting one of the bathrooms earlier today. So over here I have calendula tincture, bee balm tincture, and raspberry leaf tincture. I also have some more dried peppermint here, lavender, red clover here, and mint over here. And up here I have some more culinary herbs. I have some purple basil up here. This is purple ruffled basil, and I absolutely love it, and you can get this from M.I. Gardner. Parsley, rosemary, tarragon, peppermint, some cayenne peppers that I dried, some more tarragon, and some more parsley. And up here I just have a bunch of things shoved up here. There's really no rhyme or reason to it. Most of these things are store-bought, as you can see. There are a few calendula flower petals up here, some vitamins, and some more store-bought tea up over here. And down here I just kind of have some odds and ends as well. A whole bunch of the seeds that I saved. This tin is also full of seeds that I saved from my garden. that was something else that I really wanted to learn how to do and be able to improve upon the skills that I've developed over the last couple of years with seed saving, and I'm so happy with this. I am going to be doing a seed saving video that will be coming up in the next little bit, where I'll share with you all my seeds for my 2021 garden. And then over here I have some jars that I was able to find on Amazon, and they come with these glass droppers, and these are for my tinctures. I'm not sure what the story is with those. And then I have my fermenting pucks and my little fermenting pipes. And over here, this is some Hawthorne berries that were sent to me by a friend of mine. Hi, Jennifer. And I just thought this was so sweet. She knows that I'm just learning about making tinctures, so she sent these for me so that I can make tincture out of them. And then she also sent me some of her tinctures. This one is infused echinacea, and this one is rose petals and witch hazel, and this one's Douglas fir tips and olive oil, and this one is for me to make my own balms and salves out of, and I'm really excited about that. This is something I'm so excited to share with you. These are Luffa Sponges that I actually grew in my high tunnel, and I know they're small, but living in a zone 3B, I think that it's pretty cool that I was able to grow loofahs. They are, I think it's 150 days that they need to grow. And so I did need to dry them out inside. I hung them in a window, and then I put them in the oven, peeled them off and rinsed them. Anyway, next year I'll show you the whole process of these, but that's something I'm really, really excited about. And then over here I have some rose hip jam that I made. This is the first time I've done that, and this was really, really good, along with some rose hip syrup that was supposed to be jelly, but it didn't gel all the way, so I'm calling it syrup. And this is just some honey that I had that didn't fit into my larger jars. All right, let's get into the main part of the pantry. Super excited to share with you all of my canning this year. As you know, if you've been with my channel for any length of time, I love to can. I love preserving food in lots of different ways. I love drying and fermenting, storing food in my root cellar, but I definitely adore canning. And one of the reasons I do is because I have memories of canning as a child with my mom, and it was always such a fun thing to do, and she got so much joy out of canning and so much joy out of the pinging sound when she would have all her jars on the counter and they would start pinging. She'd get excited every time one did, and that was just passed on to me. So I can't wait to share all of this with you. There are just a couple of things that I wanted to touch on that I'm sure will come up in the comment section. One is the fact that I don't have anything protecting my jars from falling off in case of an earthquake. This is something that often comes up in my tour videos, and the reason for that is because we don't live in an earthquake zone. But just to be on the safe side, we are going to do that for these jars. I can't remember what, oh, Dan actually had a really cool idea where he wanted to put a strip here with chalkboard paint and paint it with chalkboard paint so that I could write on them and be able to erase it as I move stuff around in the pantry. So I think that's something that we'll do because that would look really cool. There's two other things that I suspect I may get some comments on. One of them is the fact that some of my jars have the lids on them like this. That is because the ones that you're going to see with lids for the most part are honey. I store my honey in mason jars like this and then keep the lids on, of course, to hold the lid down because this isn't preserved. I do have, let me see, a couple of other ones with rings on, but that is just because I haven't gotten around to taking them off yet. The reason behind wanting to remove rings from your jars is because it can give you something called a false seal, which makes the jar give the impression that it's sealed, but actually isn't. So it could be a safety issue. So this is just the easiest way to make sure your products are sealed, is just by having the rings off, and then you can actually check your seals to make sure that they are indeed sealed. This is something that people commonly do before they go open a jar anyway, and if it doesn't have a good seal when you remove it, I always recommend just discarding that product because it's not worth the risk. Down here are a couple of things that are new to me for canning this year that I absolutely love. This one was suggested by Rachel from that 1870s Homestead, who I absolutely adore, but she made this, so I gave it a try. Canned coleslaw. What's so awesome about this is that you can just take it out of the can. I actually give it a little bit of a rinse off because it is quite sweet. It's canned with vinegar and sugar. And then add all my mayonnaise and whatever flavorings I want, and it's still crunchy. It's so good and so convenient. And then you guys saw I grew tomatillos for the first time in my high tunnel, and this is salsa verde. This is the most delicious salsa in the world. I absolutely love it. some more of the coleslaw here, and then sweet bread and butter pickles, which my husband loves, so I canned a ton of those. And one of the other things that I do when I am making pickles, anything that has a sweet vinegar brine for it, also like the jalapeno peppers and the banana peppers, is I actually can up the juice, and then I use this as a marinade for chicken or any other kind of meat. But chicken, it's really nice with it because it's quite sweet. And then over here I have some beets that are just in water, some more stewed tomatoes. I have tons of stewed tomatoes. The whole bottom shelf is pretty much stewed tomatoes. And I don't know why the lid's on this one. These are actually from last year. These are they from last year? I don't think I did a lot of canned asparagus this year. It wasn't a great asparagus year, but canned pickled asparagus. These are so delicious. And then some more pickles in back over here. Over on this side of the pantry, I have peaches, tons and tons of peaches. I have some up on this shelf, some down on this shelf, more up here. There I have honey, and it was actually a really good honey year, but I ended up leaving most of my honey with my bees, and I was able to harvest off some boxes that I had taken off last year and hadn't gotten around to processing yet. So we have lots of honey this year. Cornmeal. This is some more coleslaw made with purple cabbage and beets, and I just love the color of it. It's beautiful. Some more ketchup, carrots, tomatoes, and beans over here. I need to stock up my beans, I can see. On this shelf I have the peaches that I just showed you, some more of the relish, the green tomato relish, lots of salsa in here, and some more tomatoes. It was the year of the tomatoes due to how successful the high tunnel was, and I canned I don't know how many jars. I think it was probably close to 200 quarts of tomatoes. I'm so excited about that. I have back on this shelf, I have some salsa, some more honey, some vinegars, some pear jam that we tried. This is new to us, and it was really good. Some more tomatoes, and this is my favorite relish of all time. As you can see, we have lots of relish in our pantry. We do like relish, but zucchini relish is my absolute favorite. Not only is it beautiful, but it tastes amazing. And I tried my hand at jelly making for the first time in probably 20 years this year. And this one was made with banana peppers and that purple basil that I showed you up on the other shelf over where my dried herbs are. Isn't that beautiful? And it tastes so good with cheese and crackers. Okay, moving on, we have some peach pie filling. I did some convenience foods this year, like the pie filling, the coleslaw, and the potatoes, which have really, really helped make cooking a lot easier for me. So I want to do some more of that moving forward with my canning. Some peach jam, some syrup over here. This one was rosehip syrup. And then a whole bunch of jams. We had a bumper crop of wild raspberries this year, so a lot of this jam is wild raspberry jam. There's some strawberry rhubarb jam and some more of that ketchup that I showed you earlier. And then on the bottom shelf here, I have yet more honey and beans. These are just beans in water. These are really great. I don't like them by themselves. They kind of are a bit mushy. I don't know if anybody has any tricks for having not mushy pressure canned beans, but throwing them in a soup works just fine. Some more tomatoes and more tomatoes, some more relish, green tomato relish, and corn here. This was the first year that we successfully grew corn, so we're going to grow way, way more next year. And even though it was such a cold spring, it still did really well. So canned corn, and then all the rest on the bottom is all tomatoes. And underneath the shelves here, I have a bunch of bags of sugar. My husband likes drinking these Zevia pops. This, if you're not familiar with these, I don't know if they have these elsewhere, but they are in Canada. But it is a stevia flavored whoops, pop that my husband really likes. So we have a bunch of those, some soda water and that sort of thing. And then over underneath here, we just have some toilet paper. This bulk toilet paper here, we actually buy from a supplier that supplies hotels and that sort of thing. So it's a really inexpensive way to get toilet paper. My other dehydrator down there. Up on the top shelf here, we have some dried cantaloupe. Who knew you could dry cantaloupe? I just found out this year. Kids love it, tastes like candy. Dried pears, which is another favorite. Some more cornmeal, cream of wheat, and then up here I just have a couple of things that were on sale or Dan picked up. He really likes these black olives, so we have black olives, some soup, some cranberry sauce, peaches, apple cider vinegar, Tons of molasses and coconut milk, lots and lots of vinegar. I did not want to run out of vinegar this year when it came to making pickles. And then more stewed tomatoes and more peaches. One of the things that was really important to me when we were designing this pantry is to make sure that I had enough floor space, because I like to stack stuff up on the floor. I buy a lot of things in bulk, which I'll show you once we get over into this pantry behind us here. So I'm always stacking stuff. So I wanted to have enough space that I could still move around comfortably, but where I could stack bins like this. So we did do that. And over here we have some flour. I did get a new bulk order in, and I haven't had a chance to put everything into its bins yet, but I have chickpeas here, black beans here, and these are both rice down here. This is apples, and you can actually buy apples bulk like this at your local grocery store. You just usually have to ask in the produce section. One of the other things that I asked Dan to build was something to be able to hang things on, things like lids, things like garlic and onions, which are in the pantry behind me here. So he made these for me, and I love the way they turned out, and they're super solid, so I can hang a ton of weight on these without worrying about ripping this out of the wall. So let's go into the other pantry and I'll show you what I have in here. This is the pantry that you are probably familiar with if you have joined me on pantry tours in the past. This is our original cold room pantry that was built when we came here. We've done a couple of changes since you saw it last. One is just to whitewash the whole thing, just give it a coat of white paint to brighten it up. And then the other thing we did is remove one of the boards off of these shelves just to give me a little bit more space to move around in here, because as you can see, it's pretty packed and I wanted to be able to move without knocking stuff over and all of that. And I'm really happy with the way that it turned out. The thing that I love about this particular pantry is that it stays really cool in here, so I'm able to store things like onions and squash and cabbages, and everything stays fresh in here and will hold out all the way until spring easily. All right, let's start here. I have lots of bulk spices, and these aren't generally ones that I use on a day-to-day basis. I'm using a lot more of my own homegrown stuff now, but I keep some of these on hand just to have kind of just in case of an emergency type of situation. And then I'm always picking up things if they're on sale, or multiples of things that I know that we go through a lot. Deodorant for my husband, dish soap, or hand soap, and shampoo, that sort of thing, contact solution. And then in this bin over here, we have toothpaste, toothbrushes, and floss, because we're forever running out of those. Up on this shelf here, I have baking powder, baking soda. I did just get a new bulk box of baking soda, so I can fill that up. Bunch of canning lids over here. And these are super handy containers for if you're making your own salad dressings, or you buy bulk things like mayonnaise or ketchup, then you can use these. We go through quite a bit of this, so it doesn't usually go bad for us, and we'll just fill 4 of these up at a time and keep them up in the fridge. Up over here we have salt, both for curing and for daily use. A bag like this is a 10 kilogram bag of gray Himalayan salt. This will last us for easily for a year, for sure. In these bins here, I have medical supplies in both of these bins. I won't bother going through these in detail today. Maybe if you would like, I could do a separate video on our medical supplies, but both of these bins are that. Some jet dry for the dishwasher, and then a whole bunch of bar soap down here. And down on the bottom shelf here, I have cabbages, which, like I said, store really well in here. And down underneath this, I actually keep a lot of my cabbages because it stays super cool down here with the concrete floor and the concrete wall. So I have probably about 20 cabbages down there. And this year, I didn't think I was going to get a lot of squash, but I did end up getting probably about 30, which doesn't compare to the couple hundred that I got last year. But I did go visit a local farm and just top off my stock pile of squash. And I've had squash, especially spaghetti squash, last in here for up to a year. And I haven't had a chance, like I said, after my bulk order the other day, to get all of this stuff actually put into bins yet. But I have navy beans down here, rice, split green peas, popcorn, and tons of pinto beans were actually given to me by my brother-in-law and sister, and I was super grateful for that. I think they gave me over 200 pounds of pinto beans that they had stored, and their eldest son's moved out and their other one is getting close, so they passed those on to me, which is great because those last forever. I have talked about how I use these Tupperware containers, no, they're not Tupperware, Rubbermaid containers for years, and they do work really well if you're storing on a shelf like this. However, if you are stacking them, like you can see over here, they aren't designed to carry the weight of 50 pounds worth of food, which is what easily fits in here, and as you can see, the lids crack. So I have since decided to transfer over, at least partially, to these food grade bins. These ones I got at Canadian Tire, and I think they were around $5 each or so with a lid. I do want to switch over to the Gamma lids, which are twist lids, only because these are really hard to get the lids off of these. I do think you can buy a tool. I'll have to look into that for popping these lids off, but there's no way my kids can pull these lids off. But I do love the way that these stack. I wouldn't want to stack them much more than 3 high just from the safety issue of them falling over. But they do stack. They're designed to stack with lots of weight in them. So in these bins, I have red lentils, black beans, pinto beans, brown rice, and white rice. And like I said, I want to buy many, many more of these bins just because I love how clean and tidy it is. All right, over on this shelf, I have more salt, lots and lots of salt. So a case of pickling salt. This manual meat grinder was given to me by my brother-in-law a couple of weeks ago, and I just love that so much. I have some bags of brown rice here, and I'll just want to touch a little bit on storage for food. If you have a working pantry like this where you're turning things over often, you don't need to get carried away with storing using Mylar bags, those silver bags, and oxygen absorbers and all of that sort of thing. You can just buy your food, keep it in the plastic bag that it came in. Once it's been opened, then you do want to keep it in an airtight container. But as long as it's not been opened, you can leave things for quite a long time. Brown rice is one of those things that does tend to last for only usually about 6 months, and then you do want to have it turning over, but white rice will last much longer than that. Over here I have butcher paper, a random box of open cereal for some reason, I'm not sure why, garbage bags here, and pasta up. Mayonnaise, salad dressing, and like I mentioned, if something's on sale, we will buy some extras. So we have some potatoes, I think I'm getting tired, some pickles, and apple cider vinegar in back over here. I bought this soy sauce probably not last year, but the year before. I'll have to go check my pantry tour videos, and I still have a lot of it left. We don't go through a ton of soy sauce, so I probably have 2 years worth of soy sauce. Some canned pineapple and ketchup. Like I mentioned, we buy things in bulk like this and then use those squeezy bottles that I showed you earlier to store it in. Some crushed tomatoes and canning lids and miscellaneous plastic bags in behind here. Down over here I have some curing salt, brown rice, popcorn, and navy beans, but that's not what's actually in there. More brown rice in there, and navy beans over here. And then, like I showed you earlier, I have squash, and then below that I keep a lot of flour because flour also likes to be kept cool and dry and in a dark place, so I put it underneath there and it lasts. And over here I just have a whole bunch of random stuff. Up here I have some pull-ups, a whole bunch of sanitary products. I usually try to have a year's supply of those for all of the females in our house. Ziploc bags, which are just super handy for storing vegetables out of the garden in the freezer, which I did do. If you guys want to see a freezer tour, maybe another root cellar tour, let me know in the comment section below and I will do that for you. Over here I have some chips, some nut mix, cereals, brown rice flour, and then here I have some more medical supplies, and these ones are for animals. Hemp hearts for cereal, and then a bunch of burger topper, salad toppers, and things like that that my husband likes that are over here. A bunch of balsamic vinegar. What's here? We call these squeezies. My little one really likes those. Just some odds and ends. What else is here? Some vanilla. We buy bulk vanilla. Cocoa powder. Some black beans that I actually grew and dried out of my garden. They take a ton of space, so I think while I'm able to get them for a good price, ordering from the place that I do for bulk food, I probably will keep doing that. I don't think I'll grow them unless I needed to. Some Frank's hot sauce, and then on the bottom shelves is just mostly odds and ends that don't have a place in my kitchen. One of the places that you can buy bulk food as far as a grocery store are the Wholesale Club or the Real Canadian Superstore in Canada. So that's where I buy my bulk pasta, this. And then down there, these are some organic brown rice pasta because one of my daughters can't eat wheat. So that's what those are for. And these are actually a pretty good price. I can't remember what they cost, but it's much cheaper to buy pasta like this for our family than it is in the small bags. And then over here I have all of my onions. I grew quite a few onions, but we've gone through a lot of them, so I went and purchased some storage onions from another farm to put here so that I had enough onions to last us the winter. And this, like I said, when Dan put this up, he made it super solid so it can carry the weight of all these. And then over here we have some oatmeal, red kidney beans, and black beans down in the bottom one. Some rice cakes. My daughter loves eating these, so I usually buy a case of those when I do a bulk order. And this is my baking soda, so I have to remember to restock that jar up there. And then down here I have some potatoes. I keep all of my potatoes in my root cellar outside, but I just usually bring up a box this size every week or so just to make it more convenient to get from the kitchen. Just I can come down here and grab those. And generally speaking, you don't want to store onions with potatoes because the onions will cause your potatoes to ripen really fast and get soft. But because I'm changing this over every week, I don't have an issue with it. Thank you guys so much for spending this time with me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you had not subscribed to my channel already, please consider subscribing and hit the bell notification down below so you can be notified when I put out new videos. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.